know Suzanne isn't going to make it today, so we just need Dave or Aaron to join us, Shannon to join us. So a minute.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Dave.
Morning, David.
Nice windy day out there today. Okay, we still have 1 minute there by Mike. Well, 8 o'clock. Good morning, everybody. We'll do a call to order. I do believe we have quorum because we are down to 6 members now, 5 members, I guess. We have quorum, if I'm not correct. Janet, can you confirm that for me?
I think so. Actually, I just got a text in to see if I can confirm that for you. Give me a moment. Maybe what we can do while I wait to get a response, if you want to start proceeding, and then I can confirm with you as soon as we get an answer. Does that help so that you're not being held up?
Thank you. Just a moment of reflection then, please. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? I will bring one thing up here. Thought to me on the weekend that if we belong to the chamber as a business, is that a conflict of interest when we're discussing giving them money? Don't ask me why I thought of that now, but last week or last month, but I think we should get clarification on that. I'm not sure if that's a conflict of interest because I know several of the businesses downtown belong to them, including my business here. I just wonder if that is a conflict of interest if I'm sitting there voting on giving them budget money. So that's something to take away and discuss at whatever higher level, but don't ask me why I thought of that one night, but I did. You know how that works, don't you, David? Yes, Janet?
So just as a first point, we need 4 for quorum.
Be 4 for quorum, so we don't have quorum today then yet. Suzanne is not attending. She emailed me last night about 4:45. She's driving. So we need Shannon. We only have 5 members? Or are they counting?
So we would, the only member that we're down would be Rachel with her resignation. Otherwise, there's no other resignations, so you would have 5.
Okay, so even though she stepped back from the committee for taking a leave of absence, that doesn't count?
If she wasn't going to be on the committee anymore, she'd actually have to provide a formal resignation.
Oh, Shannon Lee's on there now, I see. Good morning, Shannon. Oh, Shannon, you're there?
I am here, sorry.
Not a problem. Morning.
Good morning, all.
We had a call to order, a moment of reflection, disclosure of pecuniary interest and nature thereof. I have asked for clarification on the chamber. If we're a business that associates with the chamber and pays dues to them, if that's a conflict of interest. As a chamber member as well sitting on this board. which several businesses are. So I don't know if we can take that away to a higher level, Janet, or that's just something we should discuss at the committee level.
From my standpoint, I'd have to take it away to find out what's the appropriate for you.
Yeah, well, all businesses downtown, if they're gonna be sitting on this board. I'm not sure who else is a member, but I know like my company is, so. Okay, everybody had a chance to review the last month's minutes? Posted online? Any questions or concerns there? No, would anybody like to approve those minutes? Yep, everybody's in favor, approved, no need to vote, everybody put their hand, yes, David?
Yeah, approved.
Okay. Everybody held their hand up, good, moving on. 2022 budget transfer and surplus and final approval. Did that ever go to council for final approval of budget? Do you have to do final approve that now then? Okay, any questions about the BIA final budget? Yes, Shannon.
I still don't understand why we're putting so much into this year's budget when we've gone through the lists.
Do you mean the reserves?
Yeah. We've already got
Okay.
the market in there at a 17,000 or whatever. So the unspent amount out of what moving over to this year's budget leaves a fair amount of money, does it not?
So you mean from what we spent last year? Not sure your question.
My question is, we went through, my understanding, last week or last month, we went through and we moved over a substantial amount of reserves into this year's budget, which after we've gone through most of our line items, leaves a large unspent amount. Is that not correct, Janet?
So all of your last year budget, anything that was unspent went back into the surplus. For this year's budget, what you've laid out here suggests that you would need 10,000 from your surplus, your previous year's surplus. So you would be pulling forward 10,000 from the current year-end surplus from 2021.
Plus this
So I think we
year's,
pulled,
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
So
Can't
what?
see a market.
So after what the taxes amount that would go into the normal year's budget for this year, and after what we've already discussed and approved and or said, let's leave that for now, we don't have to spend it, is there not a fair amount of money that is sitting in the availability?
Yes, you have. So what you're showing on the handout that you have in front of you for approving the budget, you're
I don't
showing
see
there.
anything.
Oh, so in your package that you received for the agenda today, it had a handout in there that had it laid out what the budget is that you're approving. And it sets out that you have your tax levy of 27,500 for 2022. It shows that we're pulling 10,250 from previous year surplus, and you have a revenue piece of 2,500. That's that bursary that you get for the summer concert series, which gives you a total 2022 budget of 40,250. And that is to, thank you. That is to accommodate all of the items that in the last two meetings, the board has gone through to identify what they want to put their 2022 budget towards. Do you see that up on the screen now, Shannon Lee?
I do. I'm just trying to scroll down.
Yeah. He has to do it for you. Okay, so Shannon, yeah, they have to scroll it down for you. You can't scroll it on your screen because center has to move that for you. So what was your question? Why we're pulling the extra $10,000 out of our reserve budget?
Okay, just give me a moment, sorry. Okay, I see it. So okay, we're good.
Okay. Any other questions about the budget? Now, David, the summer market is going ahead this year?
No,
No?
generally reached out to the farmers market to see if they want to join us. And they weren't interested. So at this point, it's, without sort of anchor tenants and that we're unable to do that for this summer.
So that's a line that needs to come off the budget then. Or how are we gonna do that? Or what do you wanna do there with the budget with the $17,000 we set aside for the market square?
Well,
Are we still on title?
what I would like to suggest is that we put together a group, BIA and other groups, and shooting for actually next summer, see what we can come up with to as a market square concept. And the idea would be more individual events, volunteer groups, other special events, possibly anchoring it all with a tent that stays up permanently, and start working on that. So we might want to, at this point, leave the funds there in preparation for at least partial purchase of a tent for next summer. I did hope to talk about that and throw that out to the committee today and see what we could do to see what other events we could have, or even if we delayed this summer and anchored next summer with the tent, we could see if there isn't another farmers market group that would be interested, even on a Saturday or Friday afternoons again, or what have you. So I know there's some other ideas out there that I've heard from other people to to fill the market up, and that's sort of where I am. Is I think it's important that we continue to push to get people into the downtown core, using the market square as the anchor. We need dozens of different groups to have, they're allotted Tuesdays, or they're allotted Saturdays, or whatever, and have 10 different groups doing 10 different events using up this square. So my suggestion is leave it in the budget. We'll delay that and put that money aside for next year in preparation for us for having a better plan for 2023.
Okay, no, any budget that's sitting there will just fall back into our reserve budget. So right now, I do believe we have close to $59,000 in reserve budget. We'll be pulling 10 out, so we'd still have 49 or close to 50 left going forward that we can pull out. So we're going to look at possibly using some of that fund for programming, just not for the summer market this year. So that's a revision to the budget. Anybody want to? Do we need a vote on that? Everybody happy with that? Any other comments on what Dave said?
Well, Mr.
Okay,
Chair,
Mr. Chair,
yes, I think that that David has got a good thought process there about leaving it, and I know all your hard work, folks. Looking forward to doing this, but at this point, I think David, your comments are solid, and we should leave the money there and look to the future.
No, very good. Just want to make sure everybody's aware. So you want to first set, Tony, revision of the budget for that? Yep. Second? Dave, you're on, yep. Shannon, all in favor? Good, carried. So revision of the budget. So maybe we should just change that line in the budget. I don't know if it needs to be revised or we can leave it the way it is. Yes, Shannon?
Dave, if it was just a crafters market and some foods, how many vendors do you think you would need a commitment from for it to be viable? I know it was difficult to get them last year with COVID. Do you have an idea of how many you would like to see?
Well, the good Friday afternoons that we had usually 10 different vendors. And I think if, in a perfect world, I'd rather like to have at least half of those be food oriented. And I don't know if you remember, but in preparation for last summer, we had Good Family Farms, and that was committed. And they also have like a fresh produce associate, and they were interested, but they hadn't committed yet. And then when they got closer to it, the Good Family Farm couldn't make it work because they didn't have the horsepower, didn't have any people to come work on Friday afternoons. They had to be ready for the bigger market, which is Collingwood. So, but I think we needed. Last year we had too many sort of vendors, great stuff like those wood products, and some artwork, and all the rest. But we really need more was food. So I think in a perfect world, you'd have at least 5 or more, fresh food, sandwiches, or all that kind of stuff. So, but I think 10 would be the number to make that sort of work.
So if you had 5 food type vendors, like with butter tarts, and you had 10 other vendors, would that be a successful commitment?
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be enough, and then you could layer on stuff like music. Put the music on. Without COVID, you would also be able to have the terrace room open, which would allow you to have the music. People could be sitting in the terrace room and enjoying the music and having a drink in the afternoon. So it would be more of an event feeling to it. Plus, I would imagine there'll be a brand new restaurant across the street with a patio. I'm assuming that the Dam Pub will have some seating out there, so that would increase the number of people that could just enjoy the music. So there's a couple of things that could fall into place to make it actually better than it did last year. So.
Okay, all right. So let's leave it for now. And can you and I have a chat after about some thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to give you, so if we did put up the 10, just to sort of run with the idea, just in broad strokes, we wanted to see if we couldn't get some volunteer groups that could hold like chess afternoons. This has been very successful in other squares, and basically they look after their own sort of games, but they schedule some events on a weekly basis, and it's amazing that people who have the time to pop over and play some games. It's a basically no cost event. Just as one example, there's other events, particularly on Saturdays, that are happening. There's a dog show and some other events that could happen. And so my thinking is that as a BIA, we should just be leveraging the square and our investment in this tent and seeing how many other events we could have. Even in the Scarecrow event, couldn't see if we couldn't have something happening at that event. Like it was, I don't know, this may already be happening, but you could have like available for young kids to come in and try their hand at making Scarecrow activities, that sort of thing. They could just try to get it more community oriented and get more people in the downtown core. So that's what we're trying to do for next summer. See if we can't come up with enough events at this in the square to make it worthwhile.
Just so you're aware, the grade 8s do participate in the Scarecrow building workshops.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave that with the decorating committee. I'm not going to try to change anybody's mind there. In terms of, have we had any further conversation with Rob Urich with regards to the Cultural Foundation buying a tent and spreading the cost over a few years and us renting for ours?
Yeah, and that was part of, that's also part of it. I have chatted with him a couple of times, and the idea would be that we would meet with their group and come up with, see what their ideas are, how they're going to use it, and see how we could leverage that off and how, what kind of a partnership we could come up with.
So not in terms of us buying it, we would give them a rental amount per season.
I think
Yeah,
that's all up in the air right
Pretty
now.
blue sky at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But
So
it's
Dave,
amazing
let's,
the math, how quickly it goes to even have this facility up for the entire summer for the prices of having it for set up for a weekend. The price difference is very, very small. So it really could work out in our favor. So.
okay,
Yes. Okay, so we have the budget approval then. Has that been confirmed? Yes, Janet?
So I just want
Go
to
ahead.
clarify, because your last vote that you voted on, you're still leaving right now the budget as it is. So the first recommendation in your agenda for item consideration is that with keeping the 17,000 in, you voted on the first recommendation that you're just pulling the 10,250 from the surplus and the budget is staying as is, correct? I just want to
Correct.
clarify that. Okay.
So everybody, so we have the vote in the budget. I know we voted on David's line revising it. So we'll have a vote in the budget here. Was there any other discussion? Let's get this budget out of the way first and all for a minute, Shannon, or do you have any questions about the
yes,
budget?
we haven't discussed this Christmas market yet.
We have an update coming up, but that we approved the $5,000 for the Christmas market last.
When? I thought there
We
was more
discussed the budget.
information coming.
So yes, there's more information coming today.
And
But
we approved
continued-
$5,000 without the information? I didn't
We had
think so.
information provided to us 2 months ago with his report when he did his initial.
Okay, I don't recall voting on that. I thought we were waiting for more information. Rob had said that he was going to have Scott get it to us. I could be wrong.
Any other discussion on that then? $5,000 for the Christmas market. We approved it for our budget for temporarily. We said we were going to leave it there. We would want a bit more information from them, but we did approve it for the budget to sit there and be under our supervision, yes.
So we haven't approved it to spend it. We're waiting for more information.
We approved it to have it on our line. Yes, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to try to help. And we had liked the idea and said we were going to commit to 5,000, but we were going to then see the details and make a final decision from there. So we've committed to it, but we need more details.
So it's not final.
Right.
It's not final.
Thank you. All right, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
but it is on the budget. So we're on voting the budget right now. So everybody approve the 2022 budget for this year as is. Everybody's good? Everybody's good. Thank you. Passed. All right. So we can move on to the Christmas market.
Right.
Can we pull up that information package that he updated us with? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Janet.
You had in your item 6 of your agenda, 2 items for consideration, 2 recommendations. So I just want to make sure you're clear on that, because the second recommendation is that the Meaford Business Improvement Area, BIA, hereby approve the operating and capital budget for 2022. So you had, the first one was about the surplus, that you are going to transfer 10,000 from surplus, and the second is that you're approving the budget. So I just want to make sure it's clear that you've got those 2 recommendations that you're approving.
Yes, they're approved. Anybody have any objections to that? I do believe we just had the discussion to approve that.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay, good. Yes. So we'll just do the Christmas on the Bay first. Can we pull up that information that Scott brought in? Who looks after is that you, Janet, or is that Margaret?
Derek, are you able to pull that up for us?
Derek?
I'm working on it.
It is on their minutes. If you reviewed the minutes, it is there as an attachment. So he's starting to move ahead with this. He's got people lined up. He is looking for a representative from the BIA. He'll sit on his board. Doesn't want somebody to sit on a board and just discuss. He needs somebody who's going to go out there and knock on doors and do some legwork for us as well. Okay, so that's why he's really got to the point where he's starting to push this. Okay. Okay, any questions on that? I can't. Is everybody done with that? Good. Yes, Shannon.
So to read that, is it my understanding that this 4-day event, he expects to spend $80,000? He believes that's the cost.
That's what yes, I think that's his total cost over the whole year. So, I mean, he's starting to have costs out now for developing web pages. He's bringing people online for fundraising, trying to get music. He has to build the shelters. So that's going to be a one-time cost, he's hoping, or it will be a one-time cost for now. That's going to be a big part of his budget. There was a whole package sent out. Like I said, it's from Friday, November 12th. Not sure if it's still there, but he has a pretty good outline here of everything he wants. He has his surplus of budget. It is in our meetings from the November. It was added as an attachment. So all the information's there. And like I said, they had the budget. That was I think there's like 9 pages of documentation he has provided to us already on this endeavor he wants to look at. But really what he needs is somebody from our committee to sit on a board with him, and he wants somebody to go around and start knocking on our BIA people's doors to get people involved in this and excited about this. Yes, Shannon? Do you have another question?
So, I think the largest part of the cost and a very unknown factor is the shelters that he's wanting to build. There's a huge cost in that. Then they belong to who and where will they be stored? I think that in principle, in thought, having the Christmas market is a wonderful idea. I think the aesthetics, the beauty of the wooden, they're not tents, but structures, be real pretty, but I don't think it's a starting point. I think that he should have an established Christmas market and then go forward, to include even being inside the Meaford Hall. I'm not trying to design his Christmas market or his thought process. I just think there's large risk in spending that kind of money on the structures when whoever is putting the $80,000 in, it's just so unknown.
So we're only spending 5 of our money. We're giving them 5 of our money to go ahead and do this. So his $80,000 is from fundraising. Other people bringing in money, he's hoping, so that's on him to do. Right? So we're risking $5,000 for an event for 4 days. I mean, we want to put it in comparison. You know, the amount of visitors he's expecting. I mean, it's all on his 9-page report. You can go back there in November minutes and see it off the Meaford webpage. It is there as an attachment. It's what we want to do for risk. Same thing when we gave Chris Sherry $5,000 5 years ago. It is a risk, you know, for that summer concert series when he only put 4 on. If you want to compare.
Okay, so then my question is, will Scott still proceed with his market if he can't get the $80,000 raised and have these vendors use their own tents? I think it's a wonderful market idea.
not a tent though, he's building structures for them. The idea for the structures is that these people are saying that they have some place to put their wares.
If he
Like I said, I
doesn't
think you
raise
better get-
$80,000, how's he going to build the structures? That's all I'm saying. Will he still proceed with the market? And ask people to have tents?
You know,
Yeah, that,
I think
Yeah,
we're,
go ahead, Dave.
I think he's still at the stage of, you know, it's still blue sky. Everything is like, this is what we'd love to have happen. And so I think at this point, we have to, I mean, at this point, he's at the point of actually getting people sort of interested. He wants to be able to go out and say the BIA is behind us and if it helped us fund this. And hopefully that our 5,000 and whatever money the chamber puts in then rolls into some more and some more and some more. So, you know, given the fact that it is far enough down the road, I think there's a good chance he's able to raise the money and put on a pretty good event. Because he does have the time. From my comment about this, if I may just continue, is if we're going to contribute, and we have contributed $5,000 for this event, I wonder if we can't rename it or get our name on it or call it the Meaford Market Square or some item like that. If we're going to, you know, put in some volunteer work and some money into this event, I think it, you know, Christmas on the Bay to me is a generic name. It doesn't say Meaford anywhere, and so and it doesn't say its location. It's going to happen at the Meaford Market Square, so I think it should be front and center on the things.
that's something we can definitely have a talk with Scott about, where he's open about it, but he is starting his marketing, going to get a web page going now to help promote this.
Well, now's the time to do it.
Now is the time to do it. Yes,
may I
go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Shannon, I do believe one thing that is truly an anchor to Scott on this is the wooden structures. I think that's a kind of a non-starter for him because he believes that he truly wants to make this an ongoing thing, and he's emulating European Christmas markets, the distillery district market kind of thing. So as opposed to trying to do something haphazard, he wants to make sure that this is going to be viewed as something serious and taken serious, not just by him, but by participants and supporters. So that is a really big part of his process, is making sure that the appearance, the structure, the bones of it is solid. So I think that's a really big part of it. So I don't know if he would pivot to going to tents or something like that if that doesn't come to fruition.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
Okay, so yeah, I think we just need, if anybody's interested in sitting on his committee, Dave?
Well,
you know,
I would be sort of spearheading, finding people to come to the market square anyways. I think it kind of is natural for me, as it is a market square event, which is kind of a reason the market square needs to be in the name there someplace as a way of sharing with everybody what market square is.
The other thing
that would be a good fit for you. So it would be, Dave. So it would be a good thing for you. So you want to volunteer for this market with Scott?
Sure.
Okay. So you have his contact information, I know. So you can get a hold of him. And if you need any help knocking on doors, if anything needs done, please come back to the next meeting or contact me directly. We can see if we can set up some time for all of us to get out there and help promote this. Because I think that's what it has to be from the board perspective. If we're going to get behind this, we all have to be doing a little bit to help our downtown core. Okay. Now I can't see you, Rob. Are you on camera?
No, I'm enjoying the webinar with the.
Sorry, I can't see when you put it. So yes, did you have something else to add to that? Sorry.
Yeah, with the naming as well, I agree. I think Meaford is, you're right, should be in there somewhere. I don't know if he's going to start going into being the Frito-Lay Bowl where everybody has a name attached to it, because otherwise he's going to be going for a lot of different organizations. So it's going to become the BIA Chamber, Scarecrow, Town Chamber on the Bay, or Christmas on the Bay, if he tries to acquiesce to everyone. So, but I do agree that some kind of identification with Meaford would probably be more in line.
Yeah. Just one other point. We will run this like we do with Chris Sherry. the money is going to go to us. Anything he collects that he's going to be paying out is going to go through us as well. So it's going to be a bit of administration for us on our end to handle the funds, because it's going to be a BIA event, same as Chris Sherry's. That saves him a bit of costs, because we're going to be the spearhead. Our organization will be a spearhead, and we're basically hiring him to run this on our behalf, if I'm correct. Okay.
Yeah, Rob,
Go ahead, Dave.
I just want to add, I agree with what you said there. Obviously, you don't want to get everyone's name in this in the title, but I think Market Square is something that we've actually asked Google Maps to be able to find. So someone could say, I'm going to Market Square. And so if it's kind of happening in Market Square, kind of like Market Square to be in the label. That's all.
Okay. Yes, Shannon?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with the Meaford. I do like the Market Square aspect of it. I didn't quite get Christmas on the Bay. I would get that if it was over at the pavilion, but it's not. So anyway, that's up to you guys to figure out a name, but I agree with the Meaford and Market Square Christmas something.
Shannon, what else would you like to see from Scott going forward then that Dave can take back? Are you happy with this now?
I think that's okay. If he can get that kind of money, more power to him. It's a lot of work to take on. I just would hate to see it not happen if he can't afford the structures.
Right. No, like I said, I think he shot high with his budget, and there's probably some stuff he could cut back if he had to, but shoot for the stars, land on the moon. Okay. So are we happy? Did you want any other information from Dave if he goes and talks to Scott? If can we approve this $5,000 now?
Just, yeah, no, I'm okay to approve it, other than Dave, if, and thank you for volunteering, Dave. Just a thought, if he's having difficulty with vendors and so on, some outside, and could we, if he can't get all the structures, move some of it into the terrace room? I know the Christmas, the farmer's market, Christmas bazaar was held in the hall and well attended.
Yep. Yeah, I said there's going to be some hurdles. Okay, was there anything else we need to discuss for you, David, in your summer market? We've exhausted that for now. Okay, so we'll look at reserving those funds for maybe tent discussion later on. Get down to it. Okay, all right. Anything else for discussion at this meeting before we move on to reports from chair and everything? Everybody good? Good. We'll start with you, Councillor Bell, since I shorted you last time.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I will say that when I do my next report to council about the summer market, I do fully expect that there'll be one or two councillors maybe ask me on it, and I jotted some notes down here that basically we don't have tenant anchors and there's just not enough on it to proceed. But I'm going to then talk about this Christmas on the Bay, the harbor area not being used in that sense, but focusing on the market area. And so that will be a positive outlook that something is going to be tried to be done, and with commitment from the BIA, with money and with a representative. One of the things that transpired recently was that there was a small granting of money through the CHIP program to a business, 36 Trowbridge Street. It wasn't very much, but it shows that there's still interest in the CHIP program. There's money available, and it's still early in the year, so we expect there'll be more applicants coming on. One of the things that did come up was the Deputy Mayor, Keaveney. She brought forward a notice of motion which got passed for staff to look into signage on municipal property, signage which is either outdated or it's not accurate information anymore. And so the request from the deputy mayor on that is that staff will bring back a report to council at some point in the future about what that means, where those signs are, who could be affected, and ultimately it's about the fees and charges, which advertising. So it's going to be a lot of work, I think, for staff, but I know they'll do it, and we'll get a report on that in the future. The other thing I think, which is very important, is that the paid parking extension being taken over to the Meaford Harbor and the David Johnson. We at the committee of the whole, we voted to discontinue that. We're not going to proceed with asking for payment in other locations. We're going to continue at Memorial Park. And one of the councillors said that doing it at Memorial Park with one entrance in, one in, in and out, is easier to control. And we received a report that basically had the exemptions that were listed and what that would look like. And so anyway, we've decided at the committee of the whole not to extend paid parking to other places, only at Memorial Park. So thought you folks should know that. And that'll be my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, any report from staff? Janet.
Yeah, I have a couple updates for you based on some homework you gave me actually after the last meeting. One, there was a question about filling vacancies on the BIA, the board, after Rachel had submitted her resignation. I just wanted to clarify to the board that we will not be filling that position at this time. We do have, through our appointment policy, it outlines that no committees or committees of council or board recruitment shall take place during the final 12 months of a term of council. So we're going to stick with what we have here, and that vacancy will remain a vacancy at this time. The other question that I got at our last meeting was about the Harry Potter funding, a refund of that funding from the 2021. Wanted to let you know that staff are working on that in the background, and that refund will go back into your surplus. So that will happen. And then the other update I had is that from a staff standpoint at the municipality, we're starting to plan our Canada Day. And I know that sounds like that's a couple months down the road, but a little bit sooner than the Christmas, and we're talking about the Christmas market. So wanted to give an update that we are planning that, and our plans are to have it in Market Square, so in the downtown. So my hope is that there will be lots of great activity, and some of the stores and restaurants, I know it's a holiday, but maybe some of them will be open and be able to enjoy some of those festivities. And just offer suggestion that maybe this is an opportunity too, that we can have some of the businesses also decorate their businesses for Canada Day with us, just to try to support all the activities in the downtown. And the last update I had is that starting to get inquiries for the patios again, the outdoor patios this season, and that's something that we're going to start working on, and our plans are to work with restaurants again to have the patio program in force and effect. So obviously in the coming months, as that starts to roll out, I'll provide the BIA with more updates, but I just want to let you know that that's on the horizon as well, or in the works. And that's all my updates.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for Councillor Bell, or actually Janet? Sorry, yes, go ahead, Shannon. Janet,
you had spoke to the outdoor patios, in that in the pilots, it was on the town's dollar. Is it now this year, if it proceeds, there will be a fee to the restaurants to participate?
If for it to be a fee, it would have to come back forward to council. So I need to work on putting the policy, the pilot policy, into something that's a permanent policy and bring that forward. That likely will be one of the recommendations for council to consider. And it'll be up to whatever that recommendation, the approval, or what their consideration is.
Anything else? Okay, Robert, do you have an update from the chamber?
I do, thank you. A couple of things. I'm going to go back first, your first part of your conversation. I have one thing I would say to Janet, just when you're checking about the potential conflict issue. I was wondering whether that would affect more if you were on the board than chamber members. Chamber members can't affect how chamber funds are distributed or spent or budgeted, whereas board members can. So I would say if a BIA member was on the board, there might be a conflict, but I'm not sure there would be with chamber. So you might just want to look at that angle. Two things I have for that kind of happened this week that we've heard from a chamber member, Maggie and Dix. A little bit of a concern there is that they were very unhappy. They were wanting to, she was going to paint the outside of the building and was told by staff she can't do that and that she would have to sandblast it. And she was, let's say, not very happy. She was actually trying to do something with beautifying the outside of the building. And I didn't know whether that's where the chip, I was going to ask Mr. Bell whether that was part of the chip conversation, because I don't know if she's aware of that potential to do something, but don't want to really lose that kind of vendor, because that is exactly the kind of real kind of vendor we want downtown, that's kind of catering to true retail. But she was really unhappy with that conversation.
Did she have a reason why the town declined her that? Did they give her a reason why she had to sandblast it?
I can't give you more details. I just wanted to bring it to your attention so that BIA was aware of it, as was Councillor Bell, so that maybe a conversation with staff to determine kind of what conversation was had and direction forward. Second point, we presented a check this last week to Christina Sheardown, who is interested in going into the old Jules Hachet building, sorry. And she also was having difficulty. So she expressed concerns because, and again, we said the same thing, we can't get involved in a landlord-tenant issue, but she and her representation both looked at the lease and said it was onerous and way too expensive to consider. So she looked at the potential of looking at where Papa V's was as an alternative if she can't work something out with the Hachet location, and was found that the vendor said, the landlord said that no, they wanted another pizza place to go in there. So it just seems to me that I don't know, we happened to present this with the check with the Rotary, and the conversation with the Rotary went to bring again to council and staff whether or not there's anything that can be done as a kind of push from the town to help with these kind of scenarios. I don't know whether something punitive needs to be done with empty buildings that have a potential for landlords, but put up blocks. And I know this is a very delicate area because it's a landlord issue. But if there are true things that are kind of preventing vendors wanting to go into the downtown core, then that you might want to be discussed or looked at some level. It was definitely brought forward by the Rotarian that it's ironic that 3 buildings that are downtown are owned by one character, and this particular tenant is having difficulty trying to get into 2 of their locations. So just food for thought from somebody's perspective in the public. The only other, sorry, go ahead, David.
No, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, I am on that point. So I don't know if you want to do that. I had only one other thing. We had said at the last meeting whether or not BIA was interested, like Shirley puts in a weekly update to council, or not weekly, but whenever council, regarding just an update in the chamber chat. And we offered that to the BIA, and we would really like to put that forward again if somebody from the BIA I don't want whether on a rotating basis or somebody wants to just literally put down just a synopsis of kind of what's happened at the BIA meeting or anything that you would like to talk about and announce. That was part of the kind of, we talked about of Chamber kind of offering a service to the BIA for more visibility. So I would forward that again, that if anybody is interested in just putting something in the Chamber chat from BIA, we would really look forward to publishing that on your behalf, getting it out in the social media as well as our regular chat.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. No, any questions for Robert from anybody? David, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, David.
No, I just, Rob, just wanted to say one of the things that I have read about BIAs in other towns is working with the city council is creating an additional vacancy tax, so that if your building is unoccupied in the downtown BIA for a certain amount of time, it just can't sit there for years and years and years without additional taxes being added. And that the concept is that it sometimes gives the owner of the building the motivation required to find any tenant or some tenant or something to make it work. Something open is better than a closed storefront. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's exactly what we were thinking. I mean, I look at the owners of Stedman's old location, and they go to great pains to try and put something in there at least, which is laudable, you know, which is great. Conversely, our other gentleman doesn't seem as interested in kind of doing that. So
yeah, that's something definitely can be permitted. Tony, I don't know if you can do whatever you need to do there. It'd be greatly appreciated, or no? Okay, go ahead, Shannon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rob, for bringing that to our attention. It is really unfortunate, and this gentleman's my landlord here too. Thanks, Dave, for your thoughts and what other communities are doing. I'd really like to see something done.
Christine is very, very disappointed. She's trying desperately to get something up and running for this, probably April, May. And she kind of thought she had something in principle, but it has gone south very quickly, and she's now very discouraged.
Rob,
go ahead, Dave.
I'm just curious, what is she opening? Like, what is she setting up? She
wants to, it's a wine bar restaurant scenario. So she had presented that at the Meaford Dragons event, actually got a fair amount of support and funding from the judges. It was met very, very well. She got a lot of support. And the concept all along was that she was hoping to go into the former Chez Gilles location. So she was moving forward with all plans, and this was kind of the final step. Now, I'll tell you where it was left is that after that, I know she was going to go speak to Mike Petker, because Mike Petker was handling the lease on behalf of the owner, and I don't know where it went from there, because I did ask her to ask Mike to kind of try and mediate between the two, because Mike has a relationship, and we'll have to find out from there kind of where it went.
Okay. So that's something the council has discussed in the past, a vacancy tax for anything, Councillor Bell? Was that ever brought forward?
Mr. Chair, the subject matter has come to council before, talking about no incentive in any way for current owners to have an occupant. I believe that there's a staff is still looking into what that could look like, but like what Rob said, it's pretty it's a private situation. A person owns the property, and a person can decide to rent or not. So it's delicate. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any other questions for Rob from the chamber? Yes, go ahead, Shannon.
It's not more for Rob, it's more back to Councillor Bell. At one point, and I don't know if my information was correct, but at one point were buildings having a discount on their taxes when they were empty, or are full taxes being charged for the empty buildings?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think that is one of the areas, Shannon, that you, at this point, I think you're correct. So it is one of the areas that makes for the owner of the building to discontinue on with it not being rented. So I think it was Councillor Kempner that brought something forward about this subject. But like I say, there's nothing been changed at this point.
All right. Was there anything else today? Almost 9 o'clock. If you have anything to add to next month's discussion, please forward them off to Margaret or Janet. Janet. Everything's going to Janet, I guess, sorry. And we can add it to the next meeting. Oh, Meaford Public Library. Are you anything to add? Sorry.
No, I just wanted to say
you're on.
hi. I'm Ashley.
Hi.
I've just taken over the community outreach coordinator position recently. Just wanted to say hi. I've been at the library for 5.5 years, and I'm just taking over from Alex, who resigned. So hopefully I can be of help to you guys, and look forward to working with you.
Yes, Alex went out east.
Yes, he did.
Way out east.
He did.
Sorry, my thing's cut off. I didn't see you're on there. So very good.
That's okay.
So yes, if you need to have anything, make sure you have Janet. She can add you to the budget or discussion for next month if you have anything you want to discuss with us, and any updates for the library. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Sorry about that. All right. Everybody happy? Anybody want to call for the adjournment of the meeting? Please. Hey, Dave and Shannon, everybody in favor? Good. Passed. Next meeting is in person at the Meaford Hall, correct? And that meeting is, sorry, it's cut off on my report because I can't see it. March 16th at the Meaford Hall, downstairs again. Okay? Everybody have a lovely month. If you need anything, you know where I am.